Hello everyone, I'm Caroline and welcome to my home on the hillside here in Wales. It's great that you could join me. I just finished making 3 projects that I wanted to show you for your spring decoration. Very country, very cheerful. I just love the colour schemes. So I thought I'd take you along and you could see how I made them. This is the mess I'm left with and there's a lot more mess either side of me. But let's get stuck in and have a look how I made those projects. So for this first project, we're going to be using some of the things I got from the charity shop or thrift store haul. I got these blocks. I've already painted the ones I'm going to use because I needed to put 2 coats on and I thought you watching me paint and letting the paint dry twice over could get a little bit on the boring side. So I've already painted some of these. I've also got some florals because what isn't brightened up by a few florals? Now I don't think I'm going to be using the pinks, but we'll have a look when we get to the end of the project because it's only then that you really know when you've got the item in front of you what is really going to make it look good. I've got this candlestick. Now this was, as you can see, 50p. I'm actually taking the top off. I think it's a candlestick. It looks very much like, but I only want the bottom bit. And I'm using some of my balsa wood that I got from a charity shop. And we're going to be using various paints and things, and I've got this cheap acrylic here. I got a job lot of somebody's acrylic paints they didn't want anymore, and so I'll be using that for painting. So the first thing I want to do is to paint this. That, look at that, 1 coat. Aha, missed a bit. And there it is. So these are the blocks, and the theory was that I could paint them all white and then highlight the letters and the border that sticks up a little bit. Now I did wonder about painting them over with something like Posca pens, but then I had a different idea. I've never done this, I don't know if it's going to work, but I thought get a piece of card, get a nice lilac coloured paint. I think this may be a bit dark. A little dab of white chalk paint. Yep, I'm happy with that. So now we do the P. Right, so I now know for next time, do not use the idea of dipping these into paint to actually paint them. So some of them are not as good as they can be, but I can always go back and redo those again. I don't want to do that because this video would take weeks otherwise for you to watch. So there we have Spring Bounty, and that's looking very country, shabby, chic type. So I'm very pleased with that. For the next stage, I need to measure 6 of these blocks, and they come to 18.5 centimetres. So I'm going to mark off on this piece of balsa wood. So this is now the length of all those blocks, plus extra allowance for another piece of wood either side. You'll see why in a minute. Now I need to find out the width of these blocks. Now in the ideal world, it would be the perfect width of my ruler. Oh, and it isn't. Look at that. It's just over. So we've got these, which are now the top and the bottom, but I now need another measurement. And this measurement is the height of 2 blocks. This is all probably getting very confusing. I'm not good at measuring and explaining measurements. I think what I'll do is I'll put these on here and I'll mark them like that. Give them a little sand on the edges, very lightly, because balsa wood is so soft. You really don't need to do a lot. So if it was stood up, you're going to have this piece of wood on the bottom, these pieces of wood either side. You have the next row of words up the top, and then this is going to come on here. So the next job is to stain or colour these bits of wood. I could put a dark stain on, but I don't want to because this is going with a black pedestal. I thought like a limed wash on it would look really good. Now we're going to assemble our pieces. Now which piece do I want at the top? Because the bottom isn't going to be seen, so I'll pick the best bit for the top, and I think that's the best bit. So this is going to be the bottom. I've got a little glue gun that's really useful for small projects, but if something like this I want to be working fast and putting lots and lots of glue on quickly, then this size is better. So that looks a bit plain. We need to jazz this up, and that's where the ribbons and the floral come into their own. Right, so I'm going to put a big, massive wodge of glue on there. Like that. And a little bit more to really give that some holding power. Because there's a lot of glue on this time, it'll take just a couple of seconds more to cool off than it usually does, which is a good opportunity to pull some of the spaghetti off. So let's make a nice bow. So we'll go for... Now we got 1 loop each end, 2 loops each end, 3 loops each end. How are we doing? Well, I think 3 will probably be enough. Snip that. Oh, just in the middle, just a tiny, tiny snip either side. Get my pipe cleaner. Put it around the middle. And give it a good twist to really get the middle of that bow tight. Pull out your loops. Keep twisting away at them until they're where you want them to be. Then when it's in place, we can give it a final twist to make sure it's glued into position. So now I'm going to cut that pipe cleaner off there. We're going to use this for the internal bow, which is this one. Oh yes, that's going to look lovely. So now we find the middle of this, put that one on the top, and give a little twist around the back at the pipe cleaner. That's holding that firmly in place. fiddle around with this again. It'll probably take a lot of fiddling before you're completely happy with it. Cut off these excess bits of pipe cleaner. Run some hot glue around like that. And stick our bow into position. Now, because I'm not using a wired bow, I'm going to use ever such a little blob of hot glue on each of these and put them where I want them to be. And the same with the top ones. If they won't behave themselves, then make them behave themselves. Show them who's boss with a little bit of glue. And as a finishing touch, I always like to put a little rustic looking button on the top there. So now we just need to remove all the hot glue spaghetti and then have a look what this looks like over on my dresser. So let's have a look what I've got. I've got some florals. You can't beat some florals to brighten things up. These I got from a shop called What. I think I paid £1.19 for this, and there are quite a few daffodils on there. And I got a bag of these, hundreds of them I think, for £1 in a charity shop. They're a bit tattered, but you can straighten them up. I've got this bag of carrots I got from the pound shop. I've got this moss that I got from Hobbycraft, which is like Hobby Lobby, I would imagine. I've got this box. This did originally have Lake Champlain chocolates and chocolate truffles. And it's a really useful box. Oh, these were delicious. We had a few things sent to us and they were all maple syrup based. And I tell you what, I love cotton candy, but I've never tasted cotton candy like maple syrup cotton candy. And these were the truffles, and you could just taste the maple syrup coming through in everything. So enough of food, moving on, but ooh, they were delicious. And dowels. Balsa wood, 4 plastic Easter eggs, roll of buffalo check ribbon that's wired on the edges to make a nice bow. Got this little offcut of orange ribbon, some pieces of paper that I thought went really well together. I've got all bits off one of my other projects on this. This piece of wood, which was out of an old photo frame or picture frame that was really badly damaged, I threw the rest away. I also made myself some little saying shirt, and I've written on the back, because it's white, you can't see what it says. So that says bunny treats, this says help yourself, this says human treats, and this one says free. And I've also got this bit of rope. So let's get started. And the first thing I want to do is to make a frame on this. Now I've been looking at different ways I could make the frame, and the best idea I could come up with were these bits of balsa wood. And I thought they're going to stick really nicely. That. I've just noticed my camera's a bit wonky. Let's turn you around. There. And tilt it like that, and you can see more of the project. So now we need to piece inside here. And it's very difficult to measure like that. So I'm going to put it along the edge there. And where's my pencil? Need it to come there-ish. So I got my 4 eggs and I got some dowels. Now on these eggs, they've got holes both sides, so I'm sticking the dowel into one of the holes on each egg, and that way then I can paint them without covering my fingers. Well, by covering my fingers less than I usually do, hopefully. So now back out with our frame. Now you've got some options. You can not paint it at all. You can paint it a colour if you want to make it brightly coloured. You can dark stain this if you want to. I'm going to give it like a whitewashed look. I've got this averagely thick chalk paint. I tried thin chalk paint on balsa wood and it's not very happy. So I'll use this. And you can actually see this, otherwise when it dries it doesn't look like you've done anything to it. It doesn't matter if you get it on this backboard because we'll be covering that in a few minutes time. So now I need to cut a piece of paper for the backing on here, and I've got this beautiful green colour. So now I need to glue this onto the back, so I'm going to use some Aleene's tacky glue. I don't want it to bubble up, so I don't want to use any like PVA glue or something like that, or school glue, just in case. I'll use my bit of balsa wood to smooth it out a bit. I think my only complaint with Aleene's tacky glue is I wish they had easier to squeeze tubs, because I have a few problems with my hands and it's really hard to get the glue out. I often just end up using two hands. And then pop that in there, drop it down, and look at that. What a lovely fit. So I'll set that away to dry and get out the next thing that we have to do. And that is these boxes. Now, that shouldn't be in there. They're two different sizes because one was the lid, one was the base. And so I want to put the one with the carrots to be the shorter one so that more carrots will stick out. And I think if you put a carrot in there, you'll see more of it as a carrot. Whereas if you put it in there, there's only going to be the very top showing, if I show you there. So I'm thinking that. So the first thing to do is cover these. Now, if this is going to be the eggs, I found this really lovely paper here. It's a bit like chicken wire. So I thought that would be perfect. Now, I'm not going to worry about going inside this box because that's going to have some moss and things in. You won't even see that. With this one, only with this one I got a pretty spotty paper, which I thought was really cute. So let's get this covered. Right, I've come up with an issue now. I didn't think about this because when I made these, I wasn't expecting to be using white coloured card on these. And I don't think this white pattern is going to show very well, this white writing. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting it on this piece of brown and then putting the brown on there like a sign. So we'll give it a try. So before I put the words on, I'm going to put these where they're going to go. Yeah, I think I'll put the human treats on the bottom. I don't want to put them touching the frame, but I don't want them far off. So I think I'll put them about there. This calls for hot glue. Don't forget to work quick when you're putting a large area of hot glue down, otherwise you just end up with a large area of cold, hard glue, and it doesn't stick. Right, so now the bunny treats. Well, so the human treats are going to go there, and they're going to be eggs. So let's check. Yep, I think that'll be fine for the eggs. I want to be able to get them in. I don't want to get them jammed. So we put the bunny treats there. Let's draw a line. There we go, bunny treats and human treats. So now we've got some words to go on the top. We've got help yourself and free. I'm going to look if I can put a patch on there. Will that be less noticeable than a big blob of white missing? It is noticeable, but I think it's less noticeable than a tear, so I'm going to leave it in place. So while we're waiting for the second coat of paint to dry on our eggs, we'll make ourselves a nice bow for the top of the frame. Let's have a look at the frame and see how big we want this bow to be. Now, do we want a really ostentatious bow, a massive one, or a nice reasonable size one, or a tiny one? I think we'll go for a reasonable size one, about there. So now we'll wind it a few times, or fold it a few times over. I am never sure how many times to do this. 4 folds, I think. We'll find out. Cut that there. Just one little tip, if you're using fabric scissors and you're very careful with your fabric scissors, as I am, if you're cutting ribbon that's got wire in the sides, use your normal scissors. And cut in a little bit. Like that. And then, no, I don't think that's very even, is it? It's even enough. Near enough. We'll cut the other one over a little bit more to compensate. Don't tell anyone, they'll never notice. Now, I don't know if you can snap a pipe cleaner. I've never actually done it to that extent so far, but I suppose if you're not careful, you could. I think that's about as tight as I can get this. And then cut the ends to there for now. And now open up your bow. It's surprising how much you can twist and turn these bows, and they'll take a lot of punishment. Right, I'm back now. My battery ran out, which was really frustrating because we're so close to the end being in sight. So while you were away, I drilled myself a hole here, and I've wired some flowers together in pairs like this. So that should save some time now. And I've also finished just about fluffing up my bow. I've since squashed it again, so it will need a tiny bit of fluffing up when we've finished. So the next thing to do is to put in the bunny treats. I've got my bunny treats here, and I've got this reindeer moss, and it sounds wonderful. So I'm going to pop that in, but I'm not going to glue it in, and this is very messy. But I think if I glue it in, then I don't think I need to. Plus, if I ever decide I want to change this out, this is so expensive, I really don't want to have to throw it away. So we'll pop that in there, like that. And then we'll get our bunny treats, and hopefully the bunny treats will stand up in the reindeer moss. If not, we're going to have to use a bit of glue. So you can see the general idea there. Now they're going to fall about a bit now because I'm going to have to tip things up and move things around. But then when I hang this on the wall, I'll put them neatly then. I may take them back out and we'll put them in right at the end. So the next thing is the eggs. And they're nicely painted and dried, so I'm going to take them off their skewers. And I am going to glue these into place. I've got a glue gun malfunction, which isn't what I need because I'm running on about 20% battery. I'm really trying to get this finished. And now my glue sticks got jammed. That's better. Right, so now I'm going to pop a bit of reindeer moss in amongst the eggs too, because I just think it'll make them look nice and country and farmhouse. Very difficult to do because there's not a lot of space in here. I think I'll leave that actually. It was my plan. Give that a shake. But I don't think it's going to work, so I'm going to leave them like that, and they look nice like that, I think. They look like they're just in an egg box. Now I've got these. I'm going to stick them on the tops of the eggs because there are some holes on the tops of the eggs. Probably in case a child suffocates, I would imagine. So stick one sunflower on top of each egg. If you can get eggs that don't have holes in, you probably don't need to do this stage. But I think it's going to look cute anyway. And I do like any excuse for floral, pretty, lacy, ribbony blings. So I've got these florals. You can see here I put them in two. So now I'm just going to join them all up so that they look nice. I've got my daffodils there, and I'll put my heather up there. What is it they say about more haste, less speed? I'm getting myself in a knot here. So I'm going to put that around all three branches and twist them to hold them together where I want them, and then move it down a bit, put a bit more wire on down that end. I'm all getting stuck. Meanwhile, my camera battery is ticking away. And then I'm going to stick one end through the hole that I've made at the top of the picture. Sorry, this is going to be a very shoddy description now because I am rushing so much, and I'm trying to keep it fairly near the top because I don't want to hide the help yourself, but I also want you to be able to clearly see all the florals, and I can wiggle those around in a minute. So turn that over. Clip the longest bits off. And then you can tighten this by hand, but I find it's a lot less fiddly for me. And now I'm going to glue on my bow. And then we'll put it so that it looks good. Before I glue on the bow, I think we'll turn this over. Looks a bit of a dog's dinner on the back there with my wire twisting. Cut that off. And then I'm going to glue on a hanger. This was some orange and white cord that I've retwisted again to make it a little bit thicker. And I'm going to stick lots of glue on this because I want to be sure it's on tightly. And then press it down. Do the same with the other side. And then I'm even going over the top again. Be very, very sure. It's going to look like an explosion in a glue factory on the back of that. But I wanted to do the job thoroughly. I'm going to put lots and lots of glue on this because I'm not sure which bits are going to be touching exactly on there. And then pop it like that. I don't want to hide too much of the word, but I do want to hide the wire. So now all I need to do is fluff up the bow, pop my bunny treats back in, hang it on the wall, and then we'll see what it looks like. We're going to make something with these items. It's going to be country, it's going to be spring, and it's going to have a lilac, white and black theme that I think is so pretty at this time of year. So the first thing I'm going to use is this. I picked this up from the charity shop and got a price on there, £1. I'm going to use this printout just on my printer of a rabbit. It's a free printable. I've got a little piece of gingham paper. I've got some purple or lilac gingham too, Mod Podge, piece of balsa wood, and I've got some flowers. Little tub of greenery that I got in here, all little offcuts. They don't look very pretty, but don't throw them away because it's surprising how useful they can come. So the first thing we need to do is to deal with this. And I'm going to take this off. If I can take it off without cutting it, then I get a good length piece of jute twine that I can use on another project. So there we go. I love it when you get a freebie like that. So I'm going to sand it down, but very, very lightly. It doesn't need a lot at all, just to be absolutely doubly sure that that's not going to show through. Now, I don't want to paint the back of this, so when I paint the front, I'm going to be careful not to get too many splodges on the back, so that way then it doesn't look as if it's unfinished. So I've got my chalk paint here, give it a good stir. Been sat there waiting, so always good to give it an extra stir. So the deliberate mistake was I've forgotten to stick my pieces on the side. If I show you here, I need to block in these sides. Now this was originally to put a recipe book or something on, but I want this to be contained. So I get a piece of balsa wood, measure it, cut it to exactly the right size to fit in here. Now in the ideal world I would have put a little bit of filler in here, but when I was out shopping today I forgot to get wood filler, so we're going to carry on without the wood filler in there. So that will be going there, and we need a piece on the front. So that will be going there. And already, I just love the look of those colours, the way they contrast the dark lavender against the white paint. I want this to be firmly stuck so that I can carry on, and tacky glue is really good for that sort of instant, well, virtually instant sticking. Line it up with the top of the box area. Press it down. Clear any glue that you accidentally got anywhere else. And that's already done. Look at that. Now let's do the same with this piece. Pop that along the bottom. There also hides the little tiny holes where they put the little tacks to hold the box together. Now I've never tried this before. I've seen it done. It's a big risk, but I'm going to try it on camera. Let's have a bit of a laugh to see how it goes. Now the principle is, get some brown tape. Now if I glue this straight on, you're going to have an edge, and you'll see that. So what I want to do is make this paper thinner. So rather than print this onto tissue paper, I thought let's try using this method to make this almost as thin as tissue paper. So you turn it over onto the back, get some brown tape, rub it on, then very carefully peel it off. So now I'm going to try the method I would normally use with tissue paper. Rather than cut it, I would run around the edges with a little bit of water on a paintbrush, and that would make a nice fuzzed out tear. And there we have him. So now we need to bring back our chopping board, and Bunny is going to fit there. Now I'm going to need to take a little bit from here and a little bit from up here, because I don't want these coming right to the edge. That's better. So I'm going to open my Mod Podge, which I've never used. I've heard such a lot about it, and my son had a tub. He didn't want it, so he said, do you want to try out my Mod Podge? So I thought, ooh, go on then, I'll give it a try. Now, admittedly, he's had it in his room for quite a while, but it's actually, oh, I can't see, formed a skin right over the top. Oh, I'm going to be so sticky after this. I definitely need to wash that off, because otherwise I'm going to pick up Bunny and he's going to be more stuck to me than he is to this chopping board. And then I'm going to get some more Mod Podge and go over the top. Now, I'm not sure if I need to do this, but I'm going to put the Mod Podge right up over the handle as well, just in case there's any distinguishing lines where I stopped Mod Podge and just the paint is showing through. Now, I'm not keen on the edge that's left, so I'm going to get a little bit of white paint now and just paint as close to Bunny as I can. See if we can blend that paint in a little bit. Now, I did have the option to cheat there. I could have gone, printed another rabbit, cut it off to completely fill this piece of the paper, put a piece of ribbon up here to hide the edge, and none of you would have been any the wiser. But I wanted to leave this in just so you can see that we all make mistakes. We all try something, doesn't quite work out, and there'd be nothing wrong with just gluing the piece of white on. I just thought it would be nice to try out the Mod Podge, see how it worked, see how the peel in the back of some copier paper worked. And it's not the method for me, so I won't be doing that again. And we need to add some florals. So I've got this dry floral foam brick. I got it from the charity shop for 50p. I think it normally sells for £1, so half price. I was quite pleased with that. Now, I've been looking at this, and before I actually stick my flowers in, I think I'm going to go around the edges of this with this. This is a Winsor & Newton Pro marker, alcohol art marker. And I'm just going to draw a line just around the outside. Give it that almost enamel look. I think it'll just add a little something to it and lift the design. Oh yes, I definitely think that has the look of enamel. I love that. We need to add a bow because I like to put a bow on my bunnies. It's just something I like to do. So I'm making a double loop bow, 2 loops, tie them in a knot. As you tighten them, let them wiggle and do their thing. And then your tails will all go in the right direction. Resize and tighten until you're happy with the size and shape of your bow. Oh yes, doesn't he look very posh? So now fold your bow over and cut from the folded edge to the other edge in a downward direction, like that. And then on this side, and there you've got the perfect bow for your bunny. While I'm waiting for my glue gun to warm up, I decided I'm going to take my life in my hands and try drawing a line along the top of the purple here. Now, I do not have the best hand for this sort of thing, so we'll give it a try. It could be messy. Oh, yep, that's fine, and I'm going to do the same here. If, like me, you're a bit unsteady and you go over the white, get a Posca pen or an acrylic pen, just run over it like that. So now my glue gun's warmed up. Put a little bob of glue and stick it to Godfrey. I like Godfrey. I think that would be a good name for a rabbit. So that's our bunny nearly done. I'm just going to cut some ends off this ribbon that I've got here and glue that on the front. Oh, some tape stuck on my gun. Just to give a little bit extra to the front there. Make it look a little bit more cute. Not that that needs a lot to make it look cute, it's so pretty. So there he is. I love this little bunny chopping board. So let's have a look, see what he looks like in my display. you've enjoyed seeing the craft I've done today, then please give me a thumbs up, and it would be great if you could subscribe, and you'll get to see more of the projects I make and join in the fun. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye!